Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how Nintendo might celebrate Mario's 40th anniversary, maybe, and our live service games finally leaving PS4 behind. It's going to be a good one because we have Shawn, TurboShawn McDowell on the show. Shawn, how are you doing?
Honestly, Jeff, a little under the weather.
Yeah,
I uh,
I
I
just
didn't.
realized I'm like, oh, this boy might be a little sick. Okay, what's going on?
Well, thankfully, I didn't quite catch the Evola. I managed to
Right, of course. Yeah, that was
dodge
going
that
around.
this year. But
Good.
yeah, for all the traveling I was doing and all the places I was at, I got a little bit of a sniffle. Just a little bit of a sniffle.
Yeah, you probably like didn't even get it at Evo. You probably got it coming home like on the plane or
Yeah, it was
whatever.
probably on the plane. Yeah,
Yeah, just that dry air, when you have been traveling, your immune system goes down a little bit. It's always at the end of the trip. Okay,
yeah,
well, a little bit of a sniffle. Hopefully, you bounce back quick. But thanks for doing the show. I appreciate it.
of
Okay,
course.
uh, I want to we're probably going to give you time to like give us a much more of a lowdown on Evo. I do want like the full story, but give us the quick version here. How was it?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. The event itself, it's like hopefully that I came across in the video I put out recently. There's just too much to do, like in a good way, but there's too freaking much. I did do a little bit of work while I was out there too, so that ate up a little bit of my time.
Right.
Got to preview some games though. Got to go hands on with Invincible Versus for an extended period of time.
Oh, good.
Want to do a video about the capture that I got at some point. Like I was telling you the other day, maybe turn that into a quick look or something. Figure out something to do with that.
Yeah, we can do a bunch of different stuff with that. Whatever you want to do, I'm down.
Yeah, and then I got to play Marvel Tokon, which that's a weird game, Jeff. That is a really weird game.
Seems like it's got a
Invincible,
lot happening.
well, it does, but in a very different way. Because like Invincible
Right.
Versus, that's just if you ask what are the mechanics of Invincible Versus, the answer is yes, because they just if you can think of a fighting game mechanic, they either put it in or they have an equivalent to it. Which,
Right, some
considering that,
adaptation.
yeah, it's a lot of old Killer Instinct devs like KI 2013.
Oh, cool.
So
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yes.
yeah, it makes sense that they would put in like a lot of stuff. Whereas Tokon, Invincible is very much Marvel 3 mixed with KI and then a bunch of additional mechanics. You can easily identify where everything's coming from. Tokon, they're going like so far out of their way to try new things, to
Right.
do what tag fighters have not done at this point. You can't just say, oh, it's just like this game. Oh, it's just like the last Marvel games, Marvel vs. Capcom. No, I can't even explain in the in like a couple of minutes here how Tokon is played, but the basic version is one shared health bar, which is very different. Normally you have multiple for each character and everything like that, and you gain your characters as like big moments happen in the match. You only start with your main character and a second character, and that's how they're doing 4v4, is that anytime you throw your opponent or do the stage transition, like toss them into the next stage over, then you each gain an additional character up to your 4 characters. It's wild. It is a weird feeling game too, because a little slower than you expect out of a tag fighter. But once I started like learning how all the mechanics worked, it was a very interesting game to play.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Arc System Works. What I always hear from people who play a lot of their games is, yeah, they have a lot of systems, and I think they're like proud of that, and they want to stand on their own. Of course,
Oh yeah.
Marvel's history is so strong in fighting games that I bet that's a big motivating factor here. But I think it's interesting. Like when you get that, when you start getting the third or fourth character, does it like tack on to the health bar in any way, or is it just like, well, now I
No.
have more
Well, okay,
variations?
so it does. I forget exactly how it works, but yeah, you get a little bit more meter and a little bit more health bar
Okay,
as you get each one, but it's like a chunk. It's not like you get an extra
no,
health bar
okay,
every time you get a new character. No.
all right.
But yeah, that was really interesting. The line was hilariously long for that. It was
Yeah, I saw some
um
video.
yeah, they kept the line moving though. I never stood in line for more than like 20 minutes, even as long as the line was. So that was cool. But yeah, the event itself was awesome. The arcade section is so much fun. I like doing. Do you ever play Quicken Crash, the old
Mm-mm.
Namco light gun game?
I don't
It's
think so,
like
no.
it's like a physical light gun game. They have like physical props inside of like the arcade cabinet, and when you
Okay,
pull
fun.
out the
Oh, fun.
yeah, you pull out the gun, you like knock over the targets, and the big gimmick at the end is that there's a ceramic mug that explodes when you shoot it. It's a cute arcade machine that I liked playing anytime an event has it. There's also like this superhero game where you punch a punching bag in order to blow enemies away. I forget what's called.
Oh,
There's a
cool.
mech game where you sit in like this cockpit. The arcade's better than ever. It's honestly, if it's like a short trip to Evo for you, like it's worth going for the arcade alone.
It looks massive. There's so many arcade machines there.
Yeah.
Where do they all come from? Do people truck them in, or is it like a local collector? What?
Yeah, they literally truck it in from somewhere nearby. But yeah, it's the same people who do
Cal-
the arcade over at Combo Breaker as well.
okay,
So
all right.
yeah,
Any relation to California Extreme? Maybe like because I know that's another that's not
maybe they
too far away
like
from Vegas.
rent out machines and everything, and like these companies share from each other. But
Either way,
yeah,
it's
I don't know.
awesome. It was really
Yeah.
cool to see that many arcade machines in one place.
Yeah, a lot of stuff over the weekend. Hilariously, outside of previewing new games, I did not play a single fighting game all weekend at Evo. Watched plenty, watched top eights all Sunday and stuff. Got to meet some people. Finally got to meet ABC and Marino, so it was nice to catch up with them. I was hanging out at a friend's booth in the Artist Alley. Got to meet Susie for the first time, the Sphere Hunter. She's
Awesome.
awesome. It was great to meet her because I'm the only member of Giant Bomb she's never met
That's
before.
right. Yeah,
Because the way
yeah.
things worked out. So yeah, we just sat and chat for a while, and she's great. She's really nice. So it was just fun to like meet a bunch of people, do all the things there are to do at a massive convention and everything, and yeah, just have a fun time. Like I said, hilariously, even not playing fighting games, I didn't compete this year at all.
Yep, it sounds like a great time. Looking forward to hearing even more from you when we get a chance. In the meantime, let's explain what we do here at Giant Bomb. We are a crew of doofuses who try to do fun stuff. And if you like it, you should support us by going to giantbomb.com/join. Really does empower us to do all the cool things you see on the site and at our events, things like that. Gets you ad-free shows, gets you some extra goodies. We're working on more all the time. And yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game S Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. It's all right, Shawn's back now, so we can get some chapters and timestamps there. We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the manufacturer of Switch and Switch 2 cards will start making cartridges in different formats to give publishers options. I did both for you. Yeah. This is from Alberto Garrido at Game Reactor. Despite being a big step forward in many areas, the launch of Nintendo Switch 2 has brought with it some new practices that have not gone down well with gamers. In particular, one of the most notable is the use of physical Switch 2 cartridges, or the so-called game key cards, which are basically an empty card with a launcher to download the full game from Nintendo's eShop via an internet connection. Something that analysts already started to point out a few weeks ago was affecting sales, and which now leaves us with yet another piece of information that supports that suspicion. Macronix, a maker of physical Switch and Switch 2 cartridges, has filed its latest fiscal report in which it warns of a loss of 1.276 billion Taiwanese dollars, about 42 million US dollars, due, according to them, to currency appreciation adjustments and recognition of inventory reduction. But it turns out that in the ROM memory segment, which is like their flash ROM memory that they put inside those cards, it's down 2%. That's a 2% decrease. That is the primary sort of use for Nintendo console cards. It seems that this has led them to consider offering more versions with different card storage capacities to companies. Currently, Nintendo Switch 2 cards only come in two versions, depending on their capacity, 8 gigabytes and 64 gigabytes. And that's one of the primary reasons, according to reporting, that we've gotten mostly game key cards from a lot of these developers, because the 64 gigabyte one is probably pretty expensive. I think we've safely assumed it's very
I
expensive.
think the key cards might be cheaper in general because I did notice as a bunch of stuff like news came out about the Nintendo Direct and everything, I saw at least one game said requires full download, the game key card thing, like 6 gigabytes. So the key cards must be like, yeah, even cheaper than the 8 gig ones then.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Which makes sense because there's no actual real
Right. There's
storage on there.
what?
It's a
Yeah. There's
couple megabytes probably.
megabytes, maybe. Right. Could be
Yeah.
kilobytes. Yeah. So it could just be like a hex code that like kicks off a program on the Switch 2 that sends you to the
Right.
eShop. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so yeah. Okay. I think the circumstantial evidence is certainly starting to pile up that Nintendo thinks there's something rotten in Denmark when it comes to game key cards, and I think we can point to them asking gamers in Japan and now around the world, "Hey, what gets you to buy a physical game versus a digital game? What about those game key cards?" They've done surveys in their domestic region and their international regions. Now, we have heard from analysts that maybe the game key cards aren't doing as well as some of the other games. Like Cyberpunk did very well, and all the game key cards maybe did not. And Macronic's kind of being like, "Hey, we're going to maybe looking into some of these other storage sizes," which feels like, yeah, you better have been. Like there's no, I mean, other than maybe Nintendo likes game key cards or liked game key cards, and so they weren't super hot on the idea of offering a bunch of options to the third parties for them to have 16 and 32 gigabyte options. But outside of that, it feels like, yeah, let's give people options so they don't have to spend or overspend on storage media. When we can just put an entire game on 16 gigabytes in a lot of cases and call it a day, and everyone can be happy, except for maybe Nintendo. Although Nintendo might be coming around as well, based on what happens with that survey. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need an in between because if the smallest is 8 gigabytes, that doesn't get you very far nowadays, even when it comes to like retro collections and stuff. Just having, especially once we get up to like PS1 and stuff, having all those ROMs plus an emulator might take you above that amount. But I think something more like 16 would be a happy medium, which I, I think for a lot of people that they are looking for that happy medium because they want smaller games, the collections, the stuff where they look at that and they say, that's some retro games, that's a simpler game, that's a smaller game. This should be on the cartridge. If it's like a really, really big game, I think people would be more understanding. Like, say,
Right.
Star Wars Outlaws is probably going to be like massive even on the Switch. And so that makes a little more sense for it to be a game key card because just like when you buy, say, the PS4 disc or whatever, the current gen disc, it's going to have at least some of the game on there, but you're also going to have to download a massive patch. I think people would be more understanding of that type of game.
Sorry.
It's all right.
A ghost sneezing in my ear right there. I think more people would be understanding of having a game key card in that situation. Although, hey, Cyberpunk, ponied up for the bigger cart as well. So who knows? I do think that might have been like a little bit of an anomaly with people buying that. I think that was just like people wanted to buy Cyberpunk for the Switch too, because that's a cool prospect. I don't
Yeah.
think that's a direct correlation of the game being on a key card, even though it
Not at
certainly
that
helped
level.
with their marketing.
Yes. Yeah. It
Yeah.
got the buzz around that. You're right. Exactly. It factors in. Is it the main reason that game did so well? Probably not. But it certainly helped and did not hurt in any way.
And people are being vocal about it, and companies, they don't listen unless it's like the only thing that people are saying about an issue. And like I've said, for me personally, I don't mind game key cards because for me, physical is still about the ownership of the game. But I know for a lot of people, it is about the idea, if nothing else, of
Yes.
having it all on the cart.
The
And
bummer.
that can't be taken away from you if servers go down in the future and everything like that. A cute little story from Evo actually. Some of Atari was there, for showing off Mortal Kombat collection. Some of them sat in front of me during Street Fighter Top 8. And when the Atari logo came up on the screen, they're like, "Yeah, that's us!" And they were like saying stuff, and they're like, "And the game is all on a Switch card, yeah, yeah!" And so like they know that
Uh-huh.
they're hearing people talk about it, and so I think that's why we're seeing even Nintendo themselves look to, oh, people are mad. Okay, yeah, maybe we should walk this one back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure Nintendo probably factored in a certain number of like, okay, we make some changes. a certain percentage of people will not come with us on these changes when it comes to game key cards or the various other changes that happen to the way that people buy games. And then I think Nintendo's probably looking at it and be like, okay, maybe the number's bigger than what we were expecting, and we don't want to lose sales on this stuff. And retail's still important to us. We are Nintendo. We sell a lot of physical games at physical retailers. So yeah, I think they are probably going to slowly respond to this. We'll see. I get the sense that even those 8 GB cards, though, are not plentiful. I feel like at launch, it was like 64 GB or game key card, and then maybe a handful of partners got 8 GB cards. I don't know how it works these days. I know back in the day with cartridges on the NES and Super Nintendo controlled the whole thing, like the production of those and licensing people to be able to get to the manufacturing plants, and that's why Nintendo made a ton of money back in the day. I bet it's not that, like, they don't have like an iron grip on it like they once did, but I do still think that these companies mostly have to go through Nintendo to get these cards. So
My
that's gotta be
understanding,
frustrating.
yeah, based on what I've just heard offhandedly, my understanding is that they still completely control the distribution of them, but obviously
Okay.
they're not like making them
No.
as close to the chest anymore. They like buy them from someone else and then
Right.
like
Exactly.
distribute
Yeah.
them onwards.
Right.
Yeah.
It's and so yeah, that's I mean, Nintendo can be so weird and aloof sometimes that's got to
Yeah.
be frustrating for these developers and publishers. So that in this moment where it feels like Nintendo's paying attention, hopefully they're trying to get their ear and everyone can come out the other side being like, okay, game key cards probably aren't going to go away, but there's 16 32 GB cards are much more frequent than they were before.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
think they just overestimated how many people would be willing to go for their plan of just pay us the extra for the 64. And so many companies, even big companies who don't necessarily need to save the money, going, no, screw
Yeah,
you. That's
that profit
millions of
margin.
dollars that we
Yeah.
save by doing the key card. We don't care if people are mad at us.
Yep,
They'll get mad
exactly.
at you.
All right. Let's stick here. A couple other Nintendo stories. Nintendo Indie World Leaker says Hollow Knight Silksong won't be featured at it. This is from My Nintendo News. That is essentially the story. That is leaker Switch Force, which correctly predicted a Nintendo presentation would take place this week, and says that the highly anticipated game will not be present. Yeah. It was probably not going to be there. Hollow
course
Knight
not.
Silksong, no. Yeah, that could have been at a direct, but even that seemed like no. It's probably going to be around Xbox stuff at Gamescom. It's playable at
Yeah.
Gamescom. We know that. So I think that this game gets its date information at Gamescom. I'm really put the story here though to say, hey Shawn, what do you think is going to happen at this Indie World? Is it going to be like one of those things where we won't be able to predict anything because it's a bunch of games out of nowhere, or are there a couple outstanding indie games that like Mina the Hollower, or what's the other one that's kind of like Silksong that we've been waiting for a long time? There's a couple like that, but I don't know anything that you're particularly
Indie
waiting for.
Metroidvania. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for you, Jeff. Well, first of all, yeah, like you said, of course, Silksong wasn't going to be here
Yes.
because like it's not exclusive to Xbox in any way, but they have a marketing deal that they're showing up in that presentation alongside their new handheld. Of course, they have some kind of marketing deal, so that's where we should be looking to like see more Silksong stuff leading up to launch. But as far as the indie world goes in general, I got no idea. I'm trying to think of indies that have been on my radar that haven't been talked about much recently. Like, I guess Mina makes an appearance, sure. Like
Right.
Nintendo and
People
Yacht
remind
Club.
we do have the release date for Mina. That's October 31st. So, but
Exactly.
it could still pop in again. Yeah.
Yeah, but like they like doing stuff together, so like maybe it just pops up in a sizzle reel or something now
Yeah.
the date is out. But yeah, I got absolutely nothing. Maybe Hades 2,
Right.
like
Hades 2 feels like
1.0.
yeah, it feels like a possibility to be either the one last thing. Here's the 1.0, and it's coming very soon, and that's exciting. Maybe it could even like shadow drop if that game is ready. Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
didn't they say maybe I misheard this? Didn't they say the next major update for Hades 2 was 1.0?
Yes, I think what happened was, and I've also kind of been like keeping it over there, but like one eye on it a little bit. I think what happened was they did their last update before they're going to go 1.0, and then they're like, we have actually one more update, and we're going to do a surprise one last update. But the next one for sure is going to be 1.0. So yeah, that is imminent, and they're pretty brisk at getting those updates out. So I bet they're almost ready. And if they can time it with a sort of Nintendo event, they probably would. I mean, because it's Nintendo and PC at launch. exclusively. So and Nintendo really likes them. So maybe being like, hey, can we put you as the key player in one of our indie world showcases? I bet that would be a good fit for this game, but it also doesn't necessarily mean, I don't know, that game's big enough that it could have been in the last direct. So why wasn't it there? I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't ready.
You say key and you got me really scared there for a second, but yeah, no, I definitely think that would be the big one for them. And then I'd imagine this one, they always announce something new, several things new at Indie World that we're not expecting. But I don't know if vibes of this going into this is probably like it's going to be indies that you know and love that maybe couldn't come over Switch 2 or couldn't come over Switch 1 are going to be on Switch 2. Maybe they just like didn't get around to make a Switch 1 version. Now they are coming to Switch 2. I would expect it to be things like that, not necessarily like big blow you away announcements.
Right. And then also probably a lot of like indie games just going to Switch 1 because dev kits have been hard to get a hold of. Although,
True.
Like, okay, but this is the Indie World Showcase, so this is almost inherently going to be developers Nintendo has a decent relationship with, and maybe those are the ones that do get Switch 2 development kits. Although I think they said when they announced like the time frame for this 15 minutes, and a lot of games will be Switch 1, but there will be some Switch 2, I think is how they phrased it. That's my expectation anyhow. So we'll see.
Sure.
Indie games, they can come out on Switch 1 and just be like, unlock frame rate, and it'll do better on Switch 2, and that would be just fine. All right, let's do this one. Leaker claims new Super Mario Brothers collection coming for 40th anniversary. This is from My Nintendo News. I haven't heard this, so don't take this as any confirmation, but this is one of the rumors out there. John,
say a story, and then we'll get into why I just reacted to.
John Skinny of NeoGAF and Discord notoriety has said that Nintendo will be releasing a new Super Mario Brothers collection in celebration of the franchise's 40th anniversary. The collection will apparently contain new Super Mario Brothers for the DS, new Super Mario Brothers Wii, and new Super Mario Brothers 2 for the 3DS. The users reportedly received the information via internal scheduling docs and partial localization assets via a contractor QA team that he has worked with before. I am, Johnny Skinny or whatever, John Skinny, has apparently gotten some stuff right in the past. I know, these names. Apparently gotten some stuff correct in the past, and so maybe this is accurate, maybe it's not. Either way, though, the 40th anniversary of Mario, Super Mario, I guess is how they would phrase it, is later this year. Now it's coming up soon. Do you think Nintendo does anything for it? Because while they did stuff for 35th, they don't necessarily always do stuff for every 5-year interval. And then two, if they did it, would you be happy with a new Super Mario Brothers collection?
Yeah, they do something every 5 years, but it's like usually just whatever they had in the pipeline for Mario.
Right.
And then, some like anniversary merch or like something small that they can put out in addition to that. I was reacting to when you said new Super Mario Bros. Collection. I'm like, oh, okay, so like 1 through 3 world, maybe another new collection. And then it's like, oh no, capital N, Super Mario Bros. Collection. I was expecting that. To which I say, hell no, ain't no freaking way, Jeff. They're gonna new Super Mario Bros. 2. How are they gonna do that? They're gonna have 3DS emulation on Switch 2. They're gonna port that over.
Like they're probably gonna port it over. Yeah,
if they did, either way, that's a huge amount of work to put into a game that people don't even like.
That's honestly probably the worst Super Mario Brothers game. I think that's probably right. Yeah.
So I don't know about this one. I would be surprised about it. Maybe there's some kernel of truth here, and 1 or 2 of the games gets ported over, or I don't know. Having this be the follow-up to Super Mario 3 All-Stars would feel very weird to me. I could see the idea behind it because casuals do like the new series a lot.
They do.
Or at least they're nostalgic for it.
They sold a lot, right? These games sold a fuck ton on the Wii and in other places.
Yeah, I mean, you get Kai Cenat streaming New Super Mario Bros. Wii to 200,000 people on Twitch alone. It's clearly, regardless of who it is, there's some level of people being nostalgic for this Wii game that they played when they were, in middle school or whatever.
And then even if they do the 3D All-Stars thing of this is available for 6 months or whatever, or maybe they would time it so that it's available at least through when the movie comes out next year, another Mario game. But I think they might not even do a limited time thing. They probably would just have it out there. so that it could be another Mario game that sells very well on the Switch, and Switch Tune is ready to go when the movie comes out. I think I'm with you where it's like a little bit iffy on this actually happening because specifically because of New Super Mario Brothers 2, but New Super Mario Brothers Wii is a great game. That's actually a very good platformer, and I would like
Solid.
them to yes, I would like them to find a way to like bring that back and let more people play it because I think the Wii U one is the one that like that one's great. The Wii one's even better, and I would love to see people get a
Ooh,
chance to play that.
interesting. I
Yeah.
U better than we personally, but
U's great. It is, but Wii
cool.
was so fun, and really that was like me playing it, like trying to 100% it as I was playing it. It's like, oh, the difficulty's really well done at this point. So, yeah, we'll see. I do think when I like sit down and I was pondering this morning, putting it into the rundown, I was like, Nintendo probably isn't done like milking New Super Mario Brothers. They have not
No.
done the collection yet, so they will probably do that one in one form or another, whether that's this year or at some point in the future. That will happen. And so, like, part of me is like, yeah, this kind of lines up with what I expect from Nintendo. And whatever, I won't hate it. New Super Mario Brothers for DS, that's a 7, right, out of 10. That's an okay game. But Wii is good. Wii and Wii U is real good. 2 sucks. I
Yep.
hate 2. All right, let's see. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, plenty of more headlines. You can skip out on these if you go to giantbomb.com/join, and you get the ad-free versions of the show, become a premium member. Didn't do that, though, so we're going to go to this break and be right back after this. This episode of Giant Bomb is brought to you by giantbomb.com/join. Join us there, become a member. It helps us make fun stuff. It gets you ad-free content. It also helps us make some extras here and there that we'll give exclusively to you as members. It's giantbomb.com/join for $10 a month or $100 a year, where you save $20. You can support us in making all the cool stuff that we make over here at Giant Bomb. Once again, that's giantbomb.com/join. Become a member now. Are we back, Jan? I couldn't hear you. You broke up a little bit.
We're back.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for tuning back in, everybody. It's Game Mess Mornings. I'm Jeff Grubb. That's Shawn, TurboShawn McDowell. Shots out to Jan. Let's get back into it. The PS4 version of Genshin Impact is being delisted and shut down. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Popular action RPG Genshin Impact is being shut down on PS4, developer MiHoYo says. In a post on the game's official website, MiHoYo stated that it would be discontinuing support and updates for Genshin Impact on PS4 in future versions. According to the developer, the decision was made due to limitations related to hardware performance and platform application size. The PS5 version will be unaffected by this, as well as other versions of the game. It appears that for now, only the PS4 version is being shut down. On September 10th, the PS4 version of the game will be removed from the PlayStation Store. Okay, put this here because it's like, man, forever, or for a long time there was like, all right, we're kind of just waiting for a lot of these live service games to move on from PS4. But I guess, do they have to? Should they? Maybe they don't even need to. Plenty of people are probably still playing them on there, and that version could just work on the next system. And even if they do eventually release a native version for the next system, again, still a lot of people playing those old versions. Now, obviously, Genshin Impact is not like Call of Duty, which is maybe more the audience on console, but I bet there's still a decent number of people playing Genshin Impact on PS4, or there was. Yeah. So like, is this just them like really being like, you know what? It has reached a critical mass on PS5. We can safely move on and not have the headaches of continuing to support this old hardware. Is it just that simple?
Yeah, it's just that simple. It's eventually you need to end support for older platforms if you are adding to the game in a way that requires new hardware. We saw this with Final Fantasy 14. That started on PS3, and at a certain point they were like, we're adding so much to this game that really does just require that much more RAM. We
Yeah.
need to sunset the PS3 version. So starting with, I forget exactly which one had it. Maybe it was Stormblood. I forget where they completely dropped PS3 support. But at some point, they were like, if you want to play on PlayStation, you need to play the PS4 version. It's been enough years. It's been, the audience has grown enough on the new system. We need to move on over there. And with something like Genshin, it's even easier for them to do that because so many people do play on other platforms, such as their phone. Even if they want that controller experience, slapping a backbone on your iPhone that you got last
Right.
year, that runs better than the PS4 version, which of course it does. PS4 is from 2013, and the hardware is even older than that. So, yeah, these types of games eventually have to move on from the older platforms, and that's all we're seeing with Getches. It's something that happens pretty naturally.
Yeah. So, do you think that this is maybe the beginning of a cascade where, okay, now Genshin Impact's moving on, and we'll start seeing a lot of other live service games being like, we're no longer supporting PS4 and Xbox One, and Switch is already that's a weird anomaly. But between the PS4 and Xbox One, or is this just like a case of, no, it makes sense for Genshin, their numbers, they were looking at the spreadsheet, and the number of players hit a certain line, and the costs hit a certain line. And as those crossed each other, they're just like, we should just move on. And that's not going to be the case for the Call of Duties, or what do you expect here?
Yeah, I think it's case by case because just anecdotally, I know plenty of people who still play Call of Duty and Fortnite on their PS4s. And that's the reason they haven't bought a PS5 is because they say, well, that's all I play on console. Otherwise I play games on my phone, on my PC if I have one. But that's the one that I still play. I hang out with people and I play those games on that platform. So I think it was just a case of, yeah, MiHoYo's seeing that they could move away from this one because the user base was starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if it's just on a decline, then you get out of there. But yeah, stuff like Call of Duty is still doing exceptionally well on PS4. Fortnite is as well. So as long as those numbers are high enough, those companies will stick with it. I think this was specific to this game. But like I said, all these platforms are going to drop support for the older versions eventually. Like we see with the latest version of Warzone, for example. Uh, Digital Foundry did some testing of Warzone 2.0 on like the Xbox One VCR.
Mm,
And Jeff, that is some rough shit, especially
that
when you
sounds
consider.
rotten.
Yeah, Call of Duty, you kind of need that to run at 60 or as close to 60 as possible. And so they cut resolution, they cut visuals, they cut everything possible to try to get to there. And at some point, they're going to add something in there that just will not run on those old machines. That's when they'll have to cut it off. But I think, yeah, we're rapidly approaching the point for those games as well.
Yeah, I think the sentiment was always, man, I just spent a lot of money on this new console. I want my games to take advantage of that. It feels like for the most part, like we have moved past that. I think my understanding at least is when I look at games that even when these developers get unmoored from the last generation consoles, they're still held back by like what they could do in terms of budgets and just like scope creep. They're worried about that, so it's like they're just kind of making games the way they've been making them. So never really felt like PS4 was holding games back in any real way. Do you think like now Genshin Impact? Do you think we'll notice? Oh man, Genshin Impact does have all these really cool new features because it's not held back by PS4 anymore, or is it going to be much more subtle than that?
I think we'll like look to an update because I don't play Genshin anymore, so I don't know exactly how they roll out new content. I know that they do add new areas and in addition to the new characters and everything like that. But I think at some point we'll see like, oh yeah, this thing like the extra fast travel. That's one of those things that like Final
Right.
Fantasy 14 eventually add stuff like that of moving around zones quickly or just something that is faster moving or bigger than ever. We're going to look at that and suddenly be like, yeah, couldn't do that on last gen. Got it.
Yep. Yeah, people in
Yeah.
chat are throwing out some things. They've updated character models. They're adding just a lot of new things that people are impressed with. And
Yeah.
Voxbox is reminding us once again, yeah, the PS5 version's there, so people can still play this if they're still in the PlayStation ecosystem,
Exactly.
regardless of what happens with this PS4 version.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep going here. 007 First Light is the fastest IOI game to reach 500,000 wish list. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. Again, headline is the story. So, Shawn, I'll just ask you, like when I look at this, it's like, oh yeah, I guess this could be like a breakout hit for IOI. Like Hitman 2016 was a breakout in a lot of ways. Like I think they established themselves as the one studio working in this way where it's like we're going to make a single player game that sort of does feel alive and has a lot of cool features and really like lends itself to you going back and playing it over and over again. They figured a lot of that stuff out. And Hitman has had long legs where it just continues to sell. People will support it and want to continue to buy it. But I don't think it was like a breakout to the mainstream. And this James Bond game easily could be. It's been a long time since we had a decent James Bond game, and IOI seems to be taking it pretty seriously. The game did show up at was it Summer Game Fest where we finally saw it, and that feels
Yes.
like them taking it like, hey, we're really going for it. 500,000 wish list is nothing to sneeze at. Sounds like people are interested in this game. Do you think it could be the breakout hit for the studio that they have been aiming for?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think when a very talented developer is consistently putting out their own titles for a long period of time, they build themselves up as a really great developer, and then they get some major franchise like a licensed property or something to work on. That's when people really know their names. I was trying to think of the examples that flow around my head anytime I think of this, and one of them is like Mercury Steam getting to work on Metroid was
Yeah.
certainly like when people started paying attention to them. But the big one I was trying to remember, it's Arc System Works actually, where sure people were, if you were into fighting games especially, you knew Guilty Gear, you knew Blaze Blue, like you have heard of them, but it was Dragon Ball Fighters that made everyone look at them and say, oh, the stuff they're doing with visuals, that's insane, that looks like better than the show. And now, even people like you who don't necessarily follow, say, Guilty Gear or something,
Yeah.
Arc System Works because
Oh
they
yeah.
made that beautiful looking Dragon Ball game that played awesome as well. And so I
Hmm.
think that's the kind of thing that could happen with IOI here. Hitman's been fantastic for a very long time, but even just the content of Hitman might be, not everyone wants to get in the door of that. They might just have that instinctive, like, oh, that might be a little too violent
I,
for me or something
and I
like
just think
that.
Hitman has a reputation of kind of being not a B game, but being like, oh yeah, and I got my PlayStation 2 or 3 for this reason, and also there's a Hitman over there. I'll go rent that. It always felt like a rental series to me. And now maybe that was
Yeah,
me misrepresenting what that game was doing for a lot of people. But it rose in prominence in 2016 and just continued to be like it's one of my favorite games of all time now, World of Assassination. But I do think you're right that it's like, okay, now they can use all that on something that's easily recognizable. And this is where these licensed games can make a lot of sense for a studio like this.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's what First Light's going to do for them. It's just going to they have built a formula that's very good, and assuming a lot of that is in there, which makes a lot of sense that it would
Yeah,
be.
it would.
Yeah, I think you're right. This will be like the breakout for them.
Another example of what you were talking about, the Game Kitchen. They did those Blasphemous games, and now they just did Ninja Gaiden and Ragebound,
Yes,
and that kicks ass. That quick
it's
look is up
so
now.
good.
Yeah, you been
Yeah.
playing it?
No, I haven't got around to playing the full game yet because it came out while I was traveling. But
That's
I'm
right.
really looking forward to picking it up.
Yep, it's worth it. Those boss fights are so fun. They're so fantastic. Really enjoying that.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going here. Rockstar founder lands publisher for his post Grand Theft Auto sci-fi epic. And I know that sounds like it's talking about Mind's Eye, but that already happened. This is from Michael McWhorter at Polygon. Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser's new studio has landed a publisher for its first game, which is still untitled, but is described by its creator as a AAA open-world sci-fi action adventure game set in an original universe. Korean publisher Smilegate and Houser's Absurd Ventures announced Wednesday that the two companies have teamed up to release the Rockstar co-founders' first post Grand Theft Auto game. Absurd Ventures was, this is a quote now, Absurd Ventures was set up to tell new and different kinds of stories and to create what I hope are interesting and compelling original experiences. This new game is an opportunity to go somewhere entirely different and to take players on an entirely new adventure, Hauser said in a statement. I'm excited to be going on this journey with an amazing team that we are building here at Absurd Ventures, blah, blah, blah. The game is set in near future. A Better Paradise is the name of the game. Tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed began delivering unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances and the project was abandoned. The game world and the super intelligence within were discarded, left dormant, and undiscovered until now. Okay. Smilegate is, let's see, they've got some big games. What did they do here? I wrote it down somewhere. See if I can find that. But either way, they're a pretty big Korean publisher. Maybe they have a little bit more of a handle on what they want than IOI did when they did get Mind's Eye. It's going to be hard not to compare this to Mind's Eye, which I guess, is that even fair? I don't know why. That's a Grand Theft Auto guy making a sci-fi action game after leaving Grand Theft Auto. It's the same story, but that doesn't mean that this is going to be the same outcome, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not gonna not be that. Yeah, right.
I'm gonna be real, Jeff. You hit me with a lot of nouns there. I zoned
Yeah.
out a little bit
No,
halfway
no, no.
through.
And then Smilegate is Crossfire. That's right. They did Crossfire. Okay, so I don't know. We'll see. I guess I'm just games like this are so hard to make. And the
Yes.
reason that a studio like Rockstar can continue to make them, even though they've taken quite a bit of a break between making them, is that they have a lot of an institutional knowledge. And even if you're someone who is in the thick of that institutional knowledge, you can only absorb so much, and you're gonna have to rebuild a team that can reacquire all that information about how to make one of these things. And that turns out that always kind of takes a game. Like you have to make a game first, let it go get a 7 out of 10, and then the sequel can kind of be like, all right, now we can build on that and really deliver the game that we always wanted to. And frankly, I expect that to go. That's how it's going to go here as well. But that doesn't mean it can't be successful or whatever. I'm almost a little bit surprised that the dudes that left Rockstar are still making games. It's like, man, you guys probably made enough money to retire, right? But no, they want to just keep making games. Does it ever feel to you like maybe a little fueled by spite, like that something happened at Rockstar and they're like, we're going to go prove to the world that we were the shit and the reason that those games were so successful?
I'm sure at least for some of them that's part of it. I do also think it's maybe getting tired of that space a little bit and
Yeah.
saying, oh, we need to do things the way Rockstar wants them done, the way 2K wants them done. And there's that little bit of that lowercase r Rockstar mentality of, I want to do things my way. I think that's what a lot of them have going into these projects, but then maybe being a little too ambitious with it,
Oh
like we
yeah.
saw at Mind's Eye, not maybe not really realizing the gravity of the situation. You need to be established if you want a quadruple A level game to
With
be
its
put
own
out there.
Roblox creation suite. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want a massive hit on your hands, you either have to start small, which all of these franchises did. Like Grand Theft Auto was not huge overnight. They needed a GTA 1, a GTA 2, a bunch of spin-offs to get to that GTA 3 at the right place, the right time in order to build up a massive franchise. You can't just say, "Hey, I made GTA," and then everyone swarms to you. Like, no, you have to have a really good game. You have to establish yourself a little bit of, and yeah, they're getting a little overconfident, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's the exactly what you talked about. Like I make Grand Theft Auto, and everyone's going to swarm to me. Well, that works when they're raising money. When they're raising money, you just shout,
True.
"I made Grand Theft Auto," and all the investors show up, and then they make the game, and they're like, "I made Grand Theft Auto," and all the gamers are like, "Yeah, but you want $70? Is the game good?" And it's a little bit more
Yeah.
challenging.
That's the
So,
difference between investors, dumb as
uh-huh.
rocks, and players
Very,
who do
very savvy with their money. Yeah.
way too much research.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I will go so far on my way to like check in on your game and see what's going on there. Yeah.
Yep. We'll see. For some reason, talking about this and like people following up games and open world games versus Mind's Eye being like it seemed like it was gonna be open world and then it wasn't. That Mafia game is out this week, right? It's out Friday.
Wow,
Um,
really?
yeah, I don't think I'm getting the sense there aren't going to be any reviews, but I don't know. I don't know for
Mm,
sure. I'm getting the sense if there are, maybe very limited. Who knows? We haven't seen them yet, though. Uh, that game it's a follow up to an open world franchise. It's not going to be open world. What's the state of open world games right now? Do you think? When I look around, it's like, yeah, that feels like the genre that just got too big and only a certain kind of developer can actually work in that space. We only have like two of those left, really. There's like Ubisoft and Rockstar, and Ubisoft is just going to keep doing it their own way. I don't know.
I'm
Does
trying
it
to
feel like
think.
it's getting too big and now other developers can't keep up?
I'm trying to think of the last open world game I played, not called Tears of the Kingdom. Like,
Yeah.
what else is there even? Like, I guess Horizon. Like the
Yeah,
last time I played one of those games,
Horizon, Assassin's Creed is still. I mean, all the Ubisoft games
oh,
really are.
I forgot Shadows came out this year.
Right.
Yeah,
Ghost of Yotei will be open world.
yeah.
That's like, although was gonna say that's a massive budget game. Apparently, that is a game that is done on a relatively a modest budget, relatively speaking. Yakuza, okay, Yakuza, yeah, kind of open world RPG,
I
yeah.
wouldn't really call Yakuza open world in
It's
the
not a Grand
same
Theft Auto for
way.
sure. Yeah, yes, it's not
Yeah,
trying to be an open world
I get
crime
the
game.
point there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Spider-Man probably.
right.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
call there. But these games are, like the games that we're mentioning are, years old at this point. Like
hmm
they are many years between releases and stuff like that. But I think that goes to what you said of, you know, and to be clear, open world in the sense of like a GTA style game. I saw
yeah,
over
yeah.
YouTube chat people say Mario Kart World. Okay, all right. Now what are we doing here?
uh-huh.
But yeah, in the sense that you're saying, yeah, it's hard to put out those games. Like it's just it takes so much freaking time. That's why we don't see them anymore. You can't have a massive open world game that is also like super high in fidelity. You need to pick one or the other, basically. And
Yes,
or
that's what it
or
is.
the third option, take 10 years to make
Take
one of
tears, 10 years and all the money. Yeah.
yeah, even with
Yeah.
Nintendo, Tears of the Kingdom took what would that have been 7 years to come
It
out?
was like 6.5, 7 years, and that
Yeah, when
was
was it last year, the year before?
it was
So
the
yeah,
year before. Yeah,
somewhere around 6 years.
and they were
That
reusing
was the same
assets. Yeah,
map, yeah, basically and stuff. So it takes a long time.
right. I mean, it just shows you like I think open world games can take all the time that you give to them. I think because you could just keep like it can essentially be infinite in terms of like, oh, we got something between here and there. What if we did something in between those 2 points? And you can keep doing that for forever. It's got to be challenging.
Yeah.
All right, last couple of stories. Clair Obscur director, the prejudice against turn-based RPGs isn't completely gone. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. The creative director of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 says there's still a prejudice against the turn-based RPG genre, despite the commercial and critical success of Clair Obscur. Guillaume Broche told Automaton that he believes that his game and others like Persona are exceptions to the rule, and that there's still some way to go until JRPGs become as popular as they used to be. I could talk about the prejudice forever, Broche laughed. Personally speaking, I think Japanese turn-based RPGs were super popular up until the Xbox 360 era. But around that time, open world games started getting more popular through gaming media. They started being considered uncool, and that's the turn-based games. Yeah, there's clearly I know a lot of people where I hear them be like, "Oh, it's turn-based. I have already prejudged this. It is not for me. I will not enjoy this." Uh, I does it matter? Like, I think because there are clearly a lot of people who don't care or are excited because these games are turn based. Um, or do you kind of buy into this? Like, yeah, these are the exceptions that prove the rule in Clair Obscur and Persona.
No, like he's right. It's funny. Prejudice is maybe a bit of a strong word to use,
Yeah,
but it is also the accurate
no,
word, I
I get
suppose.
right. It is like we hear it in one context usually, but that it has
Yes.
other context and other uses. It just means to
Right,
judge
right.
before. That's
I
all.
know what he means. I know what he means.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, he's absolutely correct in that fewer people still enjoy turn-based as opposed to action RPGs or action in general. We see that all the time where a turn-based something that a company puts out will just be smaller than their action RPG. I think of like BeHoYo's games where Star Rail certainly like has popular characters and everything like that, but is a turn-based RPG, and so it did just get like a little less of a focus than Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero, which it was sandwiched between. And so I think games like that do also prove, in addition to Clair Obscur, that there is a market for the turn-based audience. Persona, exploding in popularity with like the anime fans, of course, proving that yeah, there is a market for this. But you also gotta look at stuff like when Final Fantasy does action RPGs and doesn't do horrible business decisions related to them, like Final Fantasy 15. 15 exploded in popularity. That game did really well. Not by Square Enix's standards, but by normal human standards,
Uh-huh.
15 did very well. And it's because it was a more approachable game than the turn-based games that were, coming before it. And so I think you look at even like FSN Remake and Rebirth and stuff, those games do well within the confines of Square putting them out. People just look at turn based and are like, yeah, those are the old games. That's how
Right.
games used to be. I'm not really into this
It was
turn-based
just
stuff.
that way because they didn't have the horsepower to do it real time. It's like, well, no, that's not the case, but that's how people feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a certain level of truth to that. It's more about the fact that they were based
Sometimes, yeah.
on D&D so
Right.
much, is that's where that all comes from. But stuff like Pokemon, for example, is really like the exception that to the rule. Y- yeah, Guillaume is absolutely correct that people do prefer things that aren't turn-based.
Yeah, I think it, like as a rule generally, but I think as in any of these things, just burrow down into your niche and then be the best version of yourself, and you will probably attract people to your niche as opposed to
Exactly.
trying to chase the trend of kind of the way Final Fantasy has gone, and that just hasn't worked. I think you got to just be yourself in the best way possible, and that's the key to this. Um, because honestly, like an action RPG, I that's usually not for me. When I'm thinking about RPGs, I am still thinking about turn-based or
Interesting.
at least menu driven. Like I want to like be picking options from menu because again, that feels like I'm playing a little bit of D&D or something like that. And so uh, there are going to be people who feel that way, and so it's like just
Yeah.
make your game. I think that's what he's really getting at, and while acknowledging that there are a lot of people who just will not try a turn-based RPG because they are biased against it for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's less of like a hard line, I will not play these, and more of just we're saying like it's a preference. Like people prefer the ones that are more actiony. But I think Clair Obscur, the best thing that it has done is proven what you were saying, burrowing into that niche, because then like the RPG sickos like me absolutely love the game, and then
Right.
we're just telling everyone we know, no, like you don't understand, this is the good turn base. Like if you're not really into that stuff, no, they added like the Paper Mario stuff, the Mario and Luigi stuff, that like active combat that you like. You have people like us going out to our friends who aren't
Right.
into that stuff saying, give this one a chance. And then a lot of them are giving a chance to find that they like it. Like Dan loves it even. Like you tried it and you really like it. So yeah, I think there's space for both of these. We don't need to get rid of turn-based, and that's a really good thing that Clair Obscur has done for all turn-based RPGs, I think.
Yeah, and obviously turn-based works in a lot of genres, like 4X games.
Yeah,
Like strategy games are the turn-based ones are often more popular than their real-time counterparts. So
exactly.
like Civilization's been huge, and a lot of the other real-time like games that were like Rise of Nations, that's not going anymore. Civilization still is though.
Right.
All right, so let's wrap things up with these last two Xbox Game Pass titles for August include Assassin's Creed Mirage. These are the games coming to Game Pass: Rain World, Citizen Sleeper 2, Star Wars Vector, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders, Mech Warrior 5, Clans. I've been meaning to play that. Orcs Must Die, Death Trap, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Aliens Fireteam Elite, and Nine Kings. Leaving Game Pass on August 15th is Anthem, Farming Simulator 2, Persona 3 Reload. Shawn, we should all play Anthem. Nothing but Anthem until it leaves.
See what Anthem is like here in
Yes.
2025.
I want to see. July's Game Pass titles include Grounded 2, RoboCop Rogue City, Farming Simulator 25, and Wuchong Fallen Feathers. A lot of those are already on there and have launched. Hollow Knight Silksong will be playable at Gamescom. Microsoft developer Team Cherry announced. Blah blah blah. This is all kind of that game's also in Game Pass, right? Is that right? Hollow Knight Silksong. I think that was the case.
Silksong, I assume it's launching into Game Pass if they have the marketing deal.
Right, because it was announced at that SGF thing from them, their Xbox Summer Showcase a couple of years ago, and that was like, oh, and everything in this showcase is going to be on Game Pass. So I think that's right.
Yeah.
And then over at PlayStation, August's PlayStation Plus essential titles are now available. That includes Lies of P, as well as DayZ and My Hero 1's Justice 2, which is probably an arena fighter, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
DayZ is the PS4 version. I don't know if there is a PS5 version. Okay, I know we talk about games, so we should play that. We really should play DayZ. Like just like have like a couple like 2 weeks in a row where we see how like if we can actually survive in that world now. I haven't played that in that's actually probably been like 10 years, more than that now.
I don't think I ever have.
It's interesting. It definitely like you could see how like things continue to evolve out of DayZ, and like a bunch of mods then became big games based on what was happening there. All right, let's get to the poll question. We have this from earlier this week. Let me make sure if I can find the results. Okay. Oh, let me go to the post actually. Giant bomb. It's giving me a problem here. There we go. Giant bomb on YouTube. At Giant Bomb. All right, it was just stuck on the last poll question. Do you want a new Super Mario Brothers collection on Switch? That's the new poll question. Let's see. Have you played a Darksiders game before? Yes, yes, and no. 64% said yes. 36% said no. That's quite a few people. So I wonder if Darksiders 4 is going to do just fine, especially if it like really delivers on the promise of following up that first game. I'm definitely like, oh yeah, Darksiders rules. Would love to go back and play another one of those. So. That's me. We do have that new poll question. Do you want a new Super Mario Brothers collection on Switch? Yes or no? The poll question is up now. Curious to see what the response from our audience is going to be for this one. Okay, Shawn, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
Yeah, TurboShawn on all things SHAWN, Blue Sky, Twitch, YouTube. You can find me putting stuff up here. I brought some stuff back with me from Evo, so I did some interviews. I interviewed the producer of Virtua Fighter 5 Revo and the producer on the new Virtua Fighter game. Did video interviews with both of them that I'm going to be putting up on YouTube. I'm hoping no later than tomorrow I'll have at least one of them to put up. And then the other one hopefully will be like the day after. I should also be getting transcriptions done to put those on the website if people would rather read them. Let's see, what else did I do when I was out there? Did Virtua Fighter, did Invincible Versus, mentioned that at the top of the show. I'd like to check some of that footage out with some of you guys. Maybe I'll get you and Mike kind of call me and talk over it.
Let's do it.
And then help me with the pronunciation because I'm bad with names. Dan Amrick over at Digital Eclipse.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had a chat with him about the Mortal Kombat collection. And
awesome. Dan's
because
great.
because he's old games media, we went off into many tangents that were very, very fun. And just talking.
Awesome.
Yeah, talking some fun stories about like his relationship with Mortal Kombat and stuff. I'll see what that gets turned into. Maybe I could do like an audio to video thing to put up on YouTube, but otherwise, yeah, that'll also be something I'll transcribe and put up on the site.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. I'm glad you were able to get out there and enjoy Evo, and looking forward to seeing all the fruits of the labor. Right, let's see. We already did the new poll question, so I think we could probably just tell everybody what's going on Giant Bomb for the rest of the week, as well as the rest of today. Checking the calendar. Oh, yeah, we're going to play Grounded 2 at 2 p.m. No Blight Club today, because Dan is still out on assignment. We will have Blight Club tomorrow at 3 p.m. On Thursday at 3 p.m., we should be able to wrap up Pimp My Riker. In fact, I'm going to force Dan to finish that, because I'm done with it. It's starting to torture me now, and I don't like that. So we'll do Grounded 2 today, and then maybe get some other stuff going. There should be another quick look going up later this week. I think, me and Mike did Gradius. That'll be happening later this week. Voicemail Dump Truck will be earlier tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. We got to move things around again so we can do Blight Club. And then on Friday, UPF, we're going to play Sunderfolk, which is this multiplayer tactics game where everyone has their controls on their phone. Seems like a cool idea. Looking forward to it. I think that and that Wild Gate game, those are both from Mike Morheim's studio, or publisher, I guess I should say.
Oh.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm interested. I didn't realize they had these interesting multiplayer games happening right now. But both of those seem to be popping off. So maybe check out one or the other. But Sunderfolk will definitely happen on the website. All right. That is going to do it. Shawn, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Always a fun time, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.